The first shipment of some 200,000 Sinovac vaccines has arrived in Bangkok from Beijing. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha was present to receive the vaccine and called it an historic moment. Mr. Prayut had earlier said priority groups, including health workers, would be vaccinated within 3 days. Another 800,000 doses will arrive next month and 1 million more of the shots to come in April. Sinovac's vaccine was approved for emergency use by Thai authorities on Monday. Once received, the vaccines will be distributed to 13 provinces, with more than half of the 200,000 doses earmarked for Samut Sakhon, the epicenter of Thailand's latest outbreak, and the capital, Bangkok. Authorities hope to inoculate 1 million of its most vulnerable people by May. Thailand has also ordered some 61 million doses of AstraZeneca's vaccine that will be produced locally. 117,000 imported doses will be flown in later today. The Thai government, though, has faced much criticism over its vaccination policy. CNN's Sakshi Salmat tells us why.
The initial doses of Sinovac and AstraZeneca are just a fraction of the 65 million COVID-19 vaccines that Thailand is scheduled to have this year. It has been a pretty bumpy ride for the Thai government, facing criticism over its approach to vaccinate the population. The government initially signed a deal with AstraZeneca for 28 million doses of its vaccine, but that was before a new surge of COVID-19 cases at the end of last year. And that caused officials to rush another order of 35 million doses from AstraZeneca and 2 million doses from Sinovac in China, which will come over the next 2 months. The majority of the vaccines will be locally produced here in Thailand by a pharma company called Siam Bioscience, which is owned by the king. But these won't be ready until the middle of the year, leaving the Sinovac vaccines to fill the gap. Given that other countries in the region are rolling out their vaccines before Thailand, the government is facing a lot of criticism, not only that it has acted too slowly, but that it also hasn't sought out enough vaccines. During last week's censure debate in Parliament, Public Health Minister Anutin Chanvirakul defended himself against these allegations.
เราต้องซื้อกับเจ้าที่ส่งให้เราได้ในเดือนกุมภาพันธ์ครับเจ้าที่ท่านเอ่ยชื่อมาเนี่ยเขาส่งไม่ได้ครับเจ้าอื่นๆวันนี้แม้กระทั่งเมื่อวานขออภัยครับแม้กระทั่งอาทิตย์ที่แล้วมี 2-3 เจ้ามาพบผมทั้งที่รู้ว่า AstraZeneca จะส่งในเดือนมิถุนาแล้วเนี่ยเขายังบอกว่าเร็วที่สุดที่เขาส่งให้ประเทศไทยได้เนี่ยไตรมาส 3
So now that the first vaccines are finally here, how will Thailand's rollout look like? Well, given the limited amounts of the initial doses, health officials have kept the targets pretty broad. What we do know is that in the first phase, the vaccine will be given primarily to medical professionals and people with pre-existing conditions in provinces that have been most affected by the second surge of infections since last December, which includes Samut Sakhon and the capital, Bangkok. Overall, officials are targeting to inoculate half of the almost 70 million people in Thailand by the end of the year and the rest of the general population over the course of 2022, with potentially more vaccines from other manufacturers made available through more channels. One of the hopes here in Thailand with the vaccine is to reopen its borders, since the economy here is very reliant on tourism. So there's more than just public health interests here at play to get the vaccine as quickly as possible to as many people as possible. Sakshi Salmat, CNA, Bangkok.